Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to Grade B. So we are here with the second part of our session, that is your maintenance of accounts for the JAIIB exam, right? Yesterday we saw that how many accounting principles are there, what are the examples of it, many of the things we saw. Now today we are going to see the maintenance of accounts. Over here we will see the books of entries, we will see how the entries are recorded. We will see the primary book of entry, secondary book of entry, and along with that we will also see the trial balance, types of trial balance, and along with it what is the process of it and what kinds of errors are entered into it. Everything as per the syllabus that has been mentioned in your module, but in a obviously a summarized and concise way. So let us start with it. First of all, see, whenever you have a business, your business might be having different sort of transactions, and different sort of transactions are recorded in different documents. So that's what it has been written over here, that the cash memo, invoice, sales bill, pay slip, checks, etc., they all are the documents that we enter while preparing our books of accounts. Now this is the accounting cycle, this is how the accounting cycle moves. Fine. So first of all, we identify and analyze the transaction. Your accounting principle helps you over here, like your cost related principle, your matching principle, right, as well as everything, materiality principle, everything comes into picture over here. It helps you to identify the transactions which you need to record into your books of accounts. Then journal entries are recorded, journal entries are posted to the ledger. This is the second step that we are having. Lastly, step 4 calls for the unadjusted trial balance. These are the two types of trial balance, unadjusted as well as the adjusted, that we will also look at it. ठीक है, so ये दो तरीके के ट्रायल बैलेंस होते हैं. फर्स्ट देयर इज एन अनएडजस्टेड ट्रायल बैलेंस, then we have the worksheet, then we enter the adjusting entries, adjustment entries. If suppose our trial balance is not matching, then we put some adjustment entries, and that leads us to our adjusted trial balance. ठीक है. Finally, we prepare the financial statements, that we have your balance sheet, your P&L, cash flow is also taken as a part, and finally the closing entries are done, and post closing entry trial balance is also prepared. Okay? So this is the whole accounting cycle, how the accounting thing works. Today we are going to focus on journal entries, the ledgers, as well as the trial balance, the basics of trial balance. This is going to be our task for today. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. So first of all, we have to start with the accounting equation. Accounting equation is very simple, how we present this into your books of accounts or the financial statements. Yesterday also I have discussed this, what it is. So it says that assets are equal to liabilities plus capital, right? And every transaction has got twin impacts, right? We have seen one principle of duality yesterday. कल हमने duality का principle देखा था, और duality का principle हमें बताता है that if there is any transaction, it impacts assets, at the same time it also impacts your liabilities and capital. Now it depends on the nature of transaction. For example, if I have purchased the goods worth 10,000 on credit, then obviously it is going to increase my stock. My assets will be up by 10,000, right? And the creditors, that is my liability, will also be up by 10,000. We will see the detailed version of accounting equation as well. ठीक है, हम detailed version भी देखेंगे. But as of now, this is it that we want to study, because we need to see the summary format. So accounting equation, it tells about that the assets of the business, they are always equal to the sum of liabilities as well as the capital, also called as the owner's equity. Fine. Since the accounting equation depicts a fundamental relation, it is also called as the balance sheet equation. So this is the another name for the accounting equation. As the name suggests, it is the statement of assets, liabilities and capital. ठीक है? Now let us see the types of accounts. So primarily the accounts are classified, that means the kind of accounts we open into our books, they are classified into three categories. Number one, we have the personal account. Number two, we have the real accounts. And number three, हमारे पास होते हैं nominal accounts. Okay, these three accounts we are going to see the examples of it. I have provided you the examples. नॉमिनल के क्या एग्जाम्पल है, रियल के क्या एग्जाम्पल है एंड पर्सनल के क्या एग्जाम्पल हैं. लेट अस सी. सो पर्सनल अकाउंट्स, as the name suggests, personal account का मतलब क्या होता है? The word person is coming into the personal accounts. So that means it represents individuals, companies, firms and the groups of associations, right? These things are represented. Apart from telling you the personal account, I have also highlighted the golden rule that you need to follow when you are when you are dealing with the personal account. What is the golden rule over here? So golden rule is debit the receiver and credit the giver. ठीक है, डेबिट द रिसीवर, जिसको मिल रहा है उसको डेबिट करो और जो दे रहा है उसको क्या करो? क्रेडिट करो. अब यहाँ पे तीन टाइप्स के आपको सब बाइफिकेशंस मिल जाएंगे in the personal account. Let us see that as well. So over here we have first of all natural persons, then we have artificial accounts, and then we also have the representative account, right? So can we call them as the personal artificial, personal natural, personal representative accounts? They all are the parts of personal accounts. सबसे पहले let us see the representative accounts. So the accounts that are representative of some person, for example, outstanding wages, prepaid expenses, outstanding interest. Suppose I have taken a loan. ठीक है, मैंने एक लोन लिया है 10 लाख रुपीस का, and this loan I have taken from a person named as A, right? And I have to pay interest onto it. Let us say I need to pay 30,000 interest onto it, but I have not paid it. ठीक है, मैंने अभी पे नहीं किया. So what I am going to write into my books? I am going to write outstanding interest account 30,000. ठीक है, 30,000 से मैं लिखूंगी that okay, this is outstanding. This represents a person because I need to pay this interest to a person. This account is indicating towards a person. So that is why we call it as a representative personal account. Artificial accounts, as we have talked about, your companies, your firms, etc., they are called as the artificial persons because they are recognized as such in the eyes of law. So if in my books there is an account of a company, I will call it as a artificial account, ठीक है, under the category of personal account. And the golden rule is debit the receiver, credit the giver. And natural person, you all understand Ram's account, Shyam's account. This is what natural person's account looks like. What is a real account? So real account represents the properties, assets or possessions, right? Now over here you can see two bifurcation. One is tangible, the another one is intangible. Tangible जिसको मैं छू सकती हूँ, the thing which I can touch, I can feel, right? And intangible is something which I cannot touch, I cannot feel. So these are the two kinds of assets that you can see, two kinds of properties that you can see. Let us have a look onto it. So real accounts can be of two types, the tangible as well as the intangible. Over here, your golden rule will look like this. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. जो आ रहा है उसको debit करो and जो जा रहा है उसको credit करो. For example, if I have purchased the machinery, machinery is coming to me, so I am going to debit the machinery account, right? Because of the purchase of machinery, 5 lakh rupees is going out of my pocket. 5 लाख रुपए कैश में मेरी जेब से बाहर जा रहे हैं. So I will credit the cash. Okay. machinery debit because that comes in, cash is going out, that is why I am going to credit it. Okay, there are two bifurcations in the real accounts. First one, we have the tangible and then we have the intangible. I'm not going to explain it because we all understand it. Just see the example. Tangible means the vehicle, machinery, buildings, etc. And intangible means goodwill, copyrights, trademarks, patents, etc. which exist only on the papers. There is no physical existence as such. ठीक है, कोई physical existence तो है ही नहीं. Just they are existing in the eyes of law. Got that? Now let's move on to the nominal account. First of all, we will see the golden rule is debit all the expenses and credit all the incomes. Very easy. So if I am paying the salary, suppose I am paying salary, so salary is an expense to me. I am going to debit the salary, right? I am receiving rent. Rent is an income for me, or interest is an income for me, or dividend is the income for me. So I am going to credit all of these. Sales is a revenue to me, so that is why I credit it. Purchase is a sort of expense for me, so I debit it. ठीक है? This is what nominal account is all about. So it relates to income, expenses, losses and gains. ठीक है? Now these are the rules of debit and credit. Assets, liabilities, capital, revenues and expenses. ठीक है? Debit करने से increase होगा, credit करने से decrease होगा. By the accounts only you can have an idea about it. Nominal accounts talks about the expenses and incomes, and there we have seen that debit all the expenses and credit all the incomes. So iska matlab income, where is the income? Yes, revenue is going to increase if you credit it. Revenue is going to decrease if you're going to debit it. For expenses, debit all the expenses. That means by debiting, expenses will increase. By debiting, assets will increase. By crediting, assets will decrease. So it is a kind of what you can say, depiction of what we have studied earlier in types of accounts. उसी का ये एक आपके लिए depiction है, nothing else. Fine. Now let us move ahead. This has been explained. Just see this. So all accounts have been divided into 5 categories. What are those 5 categories? Assets, liabilities, capital, revenues, gains and the expenses and losses. Is 5 category mein we have divided it. When you will get the notes, just see that for recording the changes in the assets and expenses, they have similar nature, so we have grouped them together, assets and expenses, and liabilities and capital as well as the revenue, they have the similar nature. So assets and expenses, they increase if they are debited. ठीक है? If they are debited, then they are going to increase, and if they are credited, then they are going to decrease, and the vice versa. You can read this on your own. I don't think there is any need of explanation over here. So that's why we are moving forward. Now let us come to the books of original entry. So whenever any transaction happens, we pass a journal entry. ठीक है? We pass a journal entry. For example, a worker came up to me and he asked for the wages. So I paid wages to him. So what is the entry that I'll pass? I will pass wages account debit to cash account. Right? This is the entry I will pass. So this is like date wise journal entries will be passed depending on the transactions that are taking place. So once all the transactions have taken place, then comes the second book of entry that is called as the ledger. So all the transactions that has happened in cash account का एक ledger बना जाएगा. I will prepare a ledger of the cash account and I will put all the transactions related to cash over there. So can I say that ledger is the summary kind of account where I can see that what all the transactions have happened in the year, in the month, or in any duration related to a particular account. Okay? So let us see this. Books of original entry. Here you should be focusing more on the theory, because I know the level at which you are, you already understand what is the ledger and what is the journal. Okay? Itna to we know. So that is why I means I am advising you to focus over the theory in this particular case. So real account system, they do not record the transactions directly into the account. The book in which the transactions are recorded for the first time, we call it as book of original entry, also called as journal. Right? Book of original entry, also called as the journal. So once the debits and credits for the each transactions are entered, they are transferred to the individual accounts and it is called as the generalizing. Okay? Post that, we create a ledger account and we summarize all the transaction, right? So book of original entry and the ledger principal book of entry. Let us see the example. Example is really clear. You have purchased something from the Govind traders on credit. So purchases has been debited, Govind traders has been debited. Now if I will prepare the ledger of purchase account, in that I will show that okay, this is the statement. All the debits will come here, all the credits will come here. So every transaction related to the purchase account will be depicted in the ledger like this, right? इस तरीके से हम ledger में show करेंगे. So ledger is an account which is used for summarizing. जनरल को कहा जाता है बुक ऑफ ओरिजिनल एंट्री एंड देन लेजर इज कॉल्ड एज द प्रिंसिपल बुक ऑफ एंट्री, right? So ledger is the principal book of accounting system. It contains different accounts related to that account are recorded, where the transactions related to that account are recorded. Just now how I have shown you the example of purchase account, right? The net results of all the transactions, they give us the balance of that particular account. So for example, I prepared purchases account. Okay? I have prepared the ledger of purchases account. Let us see this. So if I have purchased from the Govind traders, I will write over here 30,000 purchase I have made from the Govind traders. I have also made cash purchases for 10,000 rupees, right? I have also purchased the cash. Now out of this there are some returns as well. ठीक है? मान लीजिए there are some things that I have returned as well. So over here I will also write purchase returns. Let's say 5,000, and this gives me my balance. 30 plus 40 gives me 40,000. 40,000 less 5,000 gives me 35,000. Now this is just a crude depiction, right? This is just a crude depiction to tell you that how we find out the balance. So I have found out that what is the balance of purchase account. Purchase account का balance है 35,000. This is how I will prepare I will prepare the ledger account for all the accounts that are in my books. सभी के लिए I will prepare for cash, I will prepare for salary, I will prepare for wages, and at the end of the day, all these balances, they will be taken to trial balance. Where they will go? They will go in the trial balance. And in the trial balance, I will match all the debits with all the credits. ठीक है? trial balance में I will be matching all the debits with all the credits, and it is going to tell me that what is the arithmetical accuracy of my books of accounts. ठीक है, क्या है arithmetical accuracy? Let us see this. So let us see what is the distinction between the journal and the ledger. So journal and the ledger, they are the most important books of double entry mechanism. Journal is the book of first entry, ledger is the book of second entry. Journal records in the chronological order. Chronological order matlab ki date wise recording happens. Fine, we record the transaction on day-to-day basis. And then ledger is the book for the analytical record. Analytical, I have shown you that if I want to know that what is the balance of purchases account for the whole year, so I will prepare the ledger account for it. मैं उसके लिए एक ledger account prepare करूँगी. The journal as a book of source entry gets greater importance. Transaction is the basis for classification within the journal, and account is the basis of classification within the ledger, because in the ledgers we prepare the data account wise, purchase account, cash account, salary account, wages account, likewise we prepare statements like that. And in the journals we've just passed the journal entries on the transaction wise. Now let us see the classification of ledger accounts. So ledger accounts, they are classified into two types, permanent and temporary. We have seen the 5 categories, your capital, revenue, expenses, assets, liabilities, etc. They can be further divided into 2 categories. One is permanent, one is temporary. For example, salary. So all the salaries for the current year of 2023, they are going to recorded as salary account, and then the balance will be transferred in the P&L account, and in the next year I am going to open the fresh salary account. ठीक है, so that is why I'll call it as a temporary, because the balance of salary account is not transferred to the next year. But same thing is different when I talk about the assets. Suppose machinery, I am going to use it in the year 2023, I am going to use it in the year 2024 as well. So it is a permanent account, right? I am not closing the balance of machinery in the 2023. No, I am not doing it. I am taking it with me in the new year of 2024. So that is why it is called as a permanent account. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Permanent account. So all the permanent accounts, they are balanced and carried forward to the next accounting period, right? And the temporary accounts are closed because the balance is transferred to the trading or P&L account, whatever might be the case. For example, I have earned an interest of 40,000 rupees in the current year. Where I will put it? I will put it in the P&L account, and I will just close the account. Now in the next year I will open a fresh इंटरेस्ट अकाउंट. ठीक है, इसका बैलेंस उस साल में ट्रांसफर नहीं करूंगी. नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग वी हैव special books for recording the transactions. So what are the special books? We have cash book for recording all the cash related transaction, purchases book, all purchases related transaction, purchase return book, sales return book, and finally we have the journal proper. Journal proper is all those entries which cannot find the place over here. Suppose an entry is there, salary account debited to salary outstanding. Now it is neither a purchase return, nor sales book, neither a sales return, and it is not also a cash entry. So the entry of salary account debited to salary outstanding will be put up in the journal proper. ठीक है, so this is the classification of the books. ये books का classification है. Cash book, all the transaction related to cash receipts and cash payments, they are recorded in the cash book. सारे transactions of cash receipt and cash payments. Next is we have a petty cash book. Petty cash book क्या होता है? I'll just explain you. So there are very small expenses. For example, stationery related expenses or snacks related expenses, right? Or any client has come, so entertainment related expenses, all these expenses, these are called as a petty expenses, and there is a petty cashier. So suppose 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees has been provided to the cashier to incur these small expenses, and he has to maintain a data where he has incurred these, right? So this is your petty cash book. Next we have the purchases goods. So all the credit purchases of the goods, they are recorded over here. Okay, other purchases like building purchase, furniture purchase, they are recorded in journal proper. Remember, when you are recording in the purchases book, you will only record the purchase of goods. ठीक है, आप सिर्फ goods की purchase ही record करेंगे. Fine. If there has been any purchase of the assets or the office equipments, etc., you have to record it in the journal proper. आपको इसको journal proper में record करना है, not in purchase. Similarly, purchase written book, you understand what is purchase written book is all about. Sales book is all the credit sales of merchandise. So again, if you have sold any building, if you have sold any machinery, right? If you have sold your long-term asset, that is not going to be a part of sales book, that should be recorded in your journal proper. Okay? Sales return, so it is used by the, it is used to record the returns of goods by the customer. Next is we have the journal proper. So over here, all the things that have not found their place in other books, they are going to be recorded in the journal proper. ठीक है, ऐसी transactions जो बाकी और जगह record नहीं हुए हैं, वो यहाँ पर record हुए हैं. Let us see few popular examples of it. So entries at the end of accounting period like outstanding related entries, prepaid related entries, depreciation, commission received in advance, this comes over here, purchase of assets comes over here apart from the stock, because that is a part of purchase book, right? Now we'll be moving towards the trial balance. What is a trial balance? So as I have shown you initially that when you prepare the ledger gives you a balance. Okay? Ledger provides you a closing balance of each and every account. So we pick up that closing balance, we put it in our trial balance, and then we check the practicality of duality concept. Duality concept says that every transaction affects debit as well as the credit. So if it is true, we are checking the arithmetical accuracy of our debit and credit. I want to see that all my debits should be equal to all my credits. If it is so, then that means I have recorded the transactions correctly. ठीक है? So a trial balance is a statement showing the balances of total of debits and credits of all the accounts with a view to verify arithmetical accuracy of posting into the ledger accounts. Now see, a trial balance is a statement which shows the balances or total of debits and credits, right, with a view to verify the arithmetical accuracy, normally prepared at the end of the accounting period, that is accounting year, but you can prepare it for quarterly, you can prepare it monthly as well, as and whenever you want to see the arithmetical accuracy, you can prepare it, right? There is no one stopping you from doing that. Now what is the process? Let us see that. So first of all, find out all the balances in the ledger, list each account and place its balances in the debit and credit, compute the debit balances column, compute the credit balances column, and then verify the debit balances equal to the credit balances. If they are not tallying, then there could be some errors. अगर tally नहीं हो रहा है तो errors हो सकते हैं. we are going to see that what kind of errors can exist in the trial balance. हम उसको भी देखेंगे. Let us move forward. Now finally we need to see that what are the uses of trial balance. So trial balance, as I have shown told you repeatedly, it tells me that what is the accuracy. It tells me the mismatch between debit and credit. It gives me a bird eye view of the accounting transactions. क्या कैसे हुआ है, right? What are the quantums of the accounting transactions have happened? Adjustments can be made easily even after trial balance has been made, because trial balance helps me finding the errors and helps me in correcting those errors, right? So this is the work of trial balance, that the trial balance helps me in doing these. Now let us see the types of trial balance. We have unadjusted trial balance and then we have adjusted trial balance, right? So I can also tell you that these are the two steps: unadjusted, adjusted. So first you prepare the unadjusted and then you move on to the adjusted one. Okay, let us see this. So it is an internal accounting report that is prepared prior to recording the adjustment entries. The purpose is to verify the total amount of debit balances in the journal ledger is equal to the total amount of credit balances. Now after preparing this, we find out the errors, and if it needs the adjustment entries, we prepare the adjusted trial balance. ठीक है, so इसको भी देख लेते हैं. Once a trial balance is prepared, the unadjusted version is used by the accountant to indicate the necessary adjusting entries and the resulting adjusted balance. For example, it might be where a company receives some products from a vendor, but the invoice was not processed, and once the adjusted balance is made, it is used to prepare the financial statements. So basically, first you prepare a raw statement, that is unadjusted trial balance. You try to find out what are the errors. Once you have found out the errors, you pass the correction entries, and once you have done that, you will get a adjusted trial balance, that is the correct one, and you can use it for your preparation of financial statements, right? Now let's move to the classification of errors. What kind of errors could be there? So there are three kind of errors: errors of commission, errors of omission, and errors of principle. ठीक है, I'll tell you in the brief. So errors of commission can be related to wrong totaling, that means the arithmetical problems, wrong posting, wrong balancing, wrong casting of the subsidiary books. Errors of omission मतलब आपने पूरा ही omit कर दिया. You have completely forgotten to record the transaction, right? That is errors of omission. And error of principle means you have not followed accounting principle. ठीक है? For example, suppose I have done a huge repairs in my machinery. That repair has led to increase in the life of machinery, right? So any repair that leads to increase in the useful life should be capitalized. That means should become part of the cost of machinery. But I have recorded it into my P&L. So I have violated accounting principle. So that are errors of principle. And then there are compensating errors. Compensating errors मतलब मैंने कुछ गलती डेबिट में की एंड एक एंट्री मैंने की उसमें भी गलती थी, and then I passed a second entry that was also wrong, but the combined effect of both the wrong entries gives a nullifying effect and it becomes hard to find out the error. So these are the four types of errors, basically three types. The compensating error is just these errors but with the compensation of twin entries. That means errors are these three only, but the one wrong entry is being compensated by the another wrong entry, and that is called as the compensating error. So let us see errors of commission. We have seen that these are the errors of totaling, balancing, right? Basically the arithmetical related errors that you have done. For example, Rajhans Traders paid us 25,000 and you recorded it just as 2,500. ठीक है, किसी ने आपको 25,000 पे किया and you recorded it as a 2,500, so that is an error of commission. ठीक है, totaling, balancing as well as the casting, wrong recording of the amount, all of count as a errors of commission. Then we have the errors of omission. Errors of omission means you have completely forgot to record this particular transaction, right? So it is an error of the complete omission. Okay. For example, you have done a sales of 10,000 to the Mohan, but you have forgot to record it. So that is the error of omission. You have omitted in order to record it. Next, we have the errors of principle, means you have not followed accounting principles, right? You have violated the accounting principle. For example, the cost principle says everything that you have incurred till the time asset is ready to use should be capitalized. But I forgot, I have not added the, what you can say, non-refundable import duties. I have not added it, and this leads to error of principle. I have violated the cost principle of accounting. So if any such thing has been done by you, that is the error of principle. It has been said that amount spent on the additions to the building should be treated as a capital expenditure, but you debited it to the maintenance account. It is a error of principle. You have violated the accounting principle. And finally, we have the compensating errors. It says when the two or more errors are committed in such a way that net effect on the debit and credit is nil, these are called as compensating errors, and such errors, they do not affect the tallying of trial balance, and it becomes difficult for us to find these kind of errors, right? So this is it that we had to take in this particular class. We have talked about trial balance, we have talked about ledgers as well as the journals in a brief way, because obviously it is a crash course. In the next class, we will also pick few other basics of your syllabus. Okay. So if you have liked this particular class, if you have found it useful, please do not forget to like this video, and thank you so much for being with us.